This is Zuby Masters returning to my Let's Play at Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Did you ever have to ask, partner? Yes, that night. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal date. Not if I have anything to do with it. Yet that incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? And when the case is closed, only that case lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. This case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of the investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's what I... Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'll be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security. And the detective's ID? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. Turned his ID, left it on the floor of the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean, the fingerprint activated a lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprint. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't be able to open that locker yourself. But you could because of the rubber glove that just happened to get stuck in the door. Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Officer Meekins, I knocked it back. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. Only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly was a one-in-a-million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown something. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slack. I'm sorry I had to turn out that way. Me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked out Officer Meekins out and... I know which areas won't be caught by the camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. Don't think it would make a difference though. The security tape is erased after 36 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, your blood is your code in your struggles with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. Officer Meekins doing it that time. Else he was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found in the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on the tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that? It's still missing your Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, it's also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing detective's ID, injuring a police officer is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't be just forgiven with a simple cut in salary. It's not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one's mine. And I'll do anything to get an answer I'm satisfied with. Witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear. But the case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convinced for his crime. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved several serial murders. I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with real... Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident files here. And Marshall is mentioned here. And a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, you received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? You must be talking about the King of Prosecutor Awards. Now I remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed. The case fell into your hands. But why? Well, what's his relation to you? It was my brother. He was investigating the murder with Damon Gant, the deputy chief of police. The group of detectives was part of work under them. We were just desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence that was all we needed. He was adamant and indicated the case was finally closed, at least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for insane action? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. And now we know what happened in the police department on the day of the crime. And that was the last of the SL9 case, to be real. Not satisfied with the resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, and so he rendered him unconscious in flight. Yes, his mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. Things that happened by chance never cease to amaze me. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murderer was going at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime. That means the murderer in the prosecutor's parking lot was the real one. In turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Longstaff. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convinced yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the situation. Sancho's murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubts about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Longstaff. And the testimony of one Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a request, make it a single word. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I don't need to waste my time. It's proving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security tape really was fake, I don't feel that would end up proving Lana's guilt. Now that the time for the verdict has reached, this court finds the defendant. Your Honor, wait! Emma, the defense has an objection, a scientific objection, right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, consent. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking for is a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of shocked. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referring to the Joe Dark killing. Now that she's mentioned it, the names of both Scally's my sisters were in that file. That's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on that. But I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'm sure to find it. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So you did find some? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. I'm just an attorney. But, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. We can't find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If you can save Lana, me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regards to the incident that remain, it appears the defense is troubling by the others. Looking at the floor plans, the handprint was discovered around here. Is there any problem with this? Right, I'm sorry. It can't be more useful. Still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Yes. Concentrate this. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. No one... Tell me, is there... Something is missing. Missing? Something to completely change the meaning of the blood. Afraid the defense isn't simply trying to fight. Very well, Mr. Wright. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Please look at the floor plans in the crime scene. The Blue Badger's not there. So watch what happens when we put him in. It's where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? No! That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at the spot of the blood. What? So that means just exactly what does it mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it thoroughly scientifically. On that afternoon, Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room. After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on it. So that means this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. I will not allow such far-fetched boulder dash in my court. Far-fetched. That's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured and taken by the security. Officer Meekins cut his hands from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle down to on this tape had been. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your assumed claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. Right, who's the claim? Another incident took place in that evidence. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves it. Then tell it, when did this show? One piece of crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh! The ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the book at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. The crime scene, that would be... Miles, just what have you done? Never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought. But wait, what does that mean? How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murder. That's the only plausible explanation. He went with 777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number this is, if it's 77. That's 1 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID, at least at present. Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have authority to inquire into such person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking to you. There's one situation in which can be granted such authority. If an official charge file against the executive is accepted. Official charge? You're all act, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries? That's how the prosecutor operates. I I take my pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander? Let me ask you a question. Yes. No, not you. To her. The defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we looked up her ID number, and it's not 777. Don't play with me. Well, partner, that's not what I asked. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edward. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for this trial. At the time, occasionally felt the powerless of the law. At least, I did. Lana, because a prosecutor, in order to suppress crimes with the law. Before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? When you look at me and an investigator in that crime, and I say that you did. Chief Prosecutor, you did it. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserves. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! 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 So sorry, Mr. I'm sorry for what my sister said. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killing. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. What did you have to do with those killings, Emma? The night Prosecutor Joe Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill me? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save you. So that means you... Yeah. I was a witness to the Joe Dark trial. See that one? Yeah. Years ago, it was about this time of the year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was all alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together when she finished her work, and suddenly, a terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. Seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. Before he could, Joe Marshall tackled him. Then, I'll never forget. Lightning struck. The lights went out suddenly. A bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. I saw a burned and permanent picture in my mind. I can see it now. Permanent picture. I don't remember the moment when Dart stabbed Mr. Marshall, so you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was. That must be why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Forged evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. So that's when it all started. Rumors about Mr. Edgeworth. It's all my fault. If I could just testify properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not know it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsified evidence. That never was the same. She became cold like she is today. Unable to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Choke Marshall knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right into his front of that portal. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arm. You've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made my own mind. I said that when I grew up, I would become a scientific investigator. I want to fight crime with my testimonies and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That's why Lana would never have to forge any. See, I think I finally started to understand what makes Emma tick. There's still something about that bothers me. Something that puzzles me. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a sealer come running in there? Not only that, I knew it was being chased by a prosecutor. Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. That happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective's office and the questioning rooms are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Used to be the detective? I better have another talk with her. Lana, Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence? Think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risk. Lana, tell me about you. How you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutors. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about the unusual change of job? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered in the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though. I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believe in you, Lana. I believe that no matter what happened, you always stick to the truth. I couldn't be helped now. That trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana so phased before. True, I was a member of the police for 3 years. She was amazing. They still talk about the case, and she and Chief Grant cracked together. He's the deputy chief of police back then, and he still worked in the crime scene. Amy Grant, he was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crime before the reports could even be filed. Really idolized her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime so you could use that experience in court, right? Grant's help in the SL9 case was crucial for that resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transferal to the prosecutor's office. We should ask more about this investigation of the 2 years ago. Oh, I was second in command of the detective investigation. Second in command, that means the investigating lead was Damon Grant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Grant and I shared the same office and the same investigation. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case was Jake Marshall and Angel Sky. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for us. That's when his final murder took place. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Drake. See, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Him and Grant and Near Marshall were the ones questioning Dark. The investigation was in the final stage, and Dark must have suddenly quit. From here, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Grant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run the scene on yourself. Filing some papers while Grant and Marshall were questioning Dark. Into my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies. Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seemed that Joe Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had secured a minor concussion later. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma and carried her out of the room. I can't blame her. After all, her sister must have gone. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident? That's right. Quite a coincidence, huh? I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in the incident. Just by chance. That case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Sir Marshall, yes, this actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed. Because he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with his memory. The case just might not be over yet. I was assaulted by Drake at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Grant and I shared. Office that Mr. Grant now occupied by himself as the chief police. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office. Decided the final. Let's see. Things seem quiet around here today. You're right. The detective seems the same though. Go look. Right. Can come back. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. Never thought things turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Sierra, you never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? Should have known my luck had run when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little. It's voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can go to the evidence room today, partner. Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prosecutors head west? If there was a case, I need to know the truth about it that way. Before you turn yourself in, Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about the trial. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means that there's a good chance the knife was not the murder. How in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. And concealed with forged evidence? Find scars on all of us. Scars that the SL9 incident left behind? I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I had just made detective when he went down. It was our first case together. How old was he? Your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that day. The highest honor? You mean the king of prosecutors? What are you looking at me like that for? It's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day of the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right, it was the day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning. By nightfall, there was... I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Maybe someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that. Like Mr. Smithstar was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioner would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are they talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Grant and Lana Scott. The investigated lead Damon Grant and his second-in-command Lana Scott. There wasn't a person in the forest who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Grant, the new chief of police, arranged that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective. Now that she mentioned, Emma said something about like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secrets are too guarded. Never found out? Not a secret. All started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It certainly wasn't lame. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who falsified evidence to get a guilty, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone was Damon Grant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence where the detectives are. We proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. I thought we were finally making some headway in our case, but instead it looks like we ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. Answers by tomorrow. He's being questioned for an inquiry committee. Took a real beating in the court today. With Lana admitting falsified evidence 2 years ago. And we just have back here. This place is always pretty empty, but today is a desert. Everyone's busy solving crime. Oh, it's you. Looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Huh? Thanks. Wow, he always actually talked to with the chief prosecutor saying that she did and the decision what to do about Mr. Edward, not to mention our statement in the media and tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going in there than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Grant's office. Just use the connecting hallways to the other building and take the elevator to the top. Oh, really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers. Oh, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. What are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Whoa, where am I? In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it says on the door. Check out the pipe organ. It's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. I thought I was a genius until... I could never remember where C was. Oh, it's you two. Chief Grant. He put that paper he was reading. So, Wright have been swimming lately? No, I haven't been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Lana's proactive statement. Oh, you mean the forged evidence. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to the committee our work together. Something's not right with this picture. Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office. It was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate. I'd like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. You aren't welcome. Seems that this case isn't over yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Grant denied our request to search the crime scene. Means there must be a reason why he didn't want us looking around there. You mean like a clue? There's gotta be a way we can get inside the chief's office. Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe. Aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm, taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battle between you two in court. That sounds serious. But it's because of what my sister said. That's basically what it all boils down to. Who? That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. So why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Well, Sky is the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know for making enemies. Hey Dick, keep up the good work. Yes sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes sir. Take me back to the joint sometimes, okay? Yes sir. Seems like you don't have any problem with it. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about you. Under all of this pleasure, sure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the files earlier while the coffee was brewing. Seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during that his final attack. You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Hey. Seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it has something to do with the murder. Oh, I forgot. Look, it's all written somewhere in here. Powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. About this. Hey, is that? It has a tag attached to it with the SL9 incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. Well, what are you doing with it? Ever since that case was closed, the knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. Here it was found in Mr. Edgeworth's karma. That's it! Now I remember what your incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what was it? Quick, before it... This knife was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store where he bought it at, plus it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it in the murder. Anyone, right? That's when his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, you can see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well anyway, take a guess where the broken tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carried inside his own body. It's found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Drake's knife? You bet. Down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Oh, it was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. Businessman? What made him take me to cereal? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed it into a monster? An animal? He killed the man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed
kid was watching it, so we killed him. Nearby turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this is all just conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in? Yes, but in the middle of the question, he fled and murdered his final prosecutor marshal. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Ark was arrested on the spot. Good thing that last witness wasn't killed. Last K-E-M. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more? What is it? Is it money you need? You should ask Chief Grant. Not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene. It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The chief is out now and his office is locked. We'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective he can unlock the door. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'll be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'll be canned. Oh, sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. Well, how about this idea? It was Detective Goodman. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. In other words, Gumshoe's only chance of getting into that office. There's something we can show him that would make him change his mind. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you like it and stay tuned.